July 26, 1953, under the cover of early morning darkness while the city of Santiago de Cuba was still winding down from its annual summer carnival, a desperate gamble was set into motion. A 26-year-old idealistic lawyer named Fidel Castro led a poorly equipped vanguard of roughly 135 rebels in a daring armed assault on the Moncada Barracks, the second largest military garrison in the country. Dressed in look-alike military uniforms to confuse the guards, the rebels hoped to seize the armory, distribute weapons to the local population, and trigger a mass uprising against the military dictatorship. The plan went wrong almost immediately. An unexpected patrol car intercepted the lead vehicle, triggering a chaotic gunfight outside the main gates before the rebels could secure the building. Outnumbered and outgunned by heavy machine guns, the attack quickly turned into a military failure. Many rebels were killed in action, and dozens more were captured, tortured, and executed by the military. Yet while the physical assault on Moncada was a catastrophic tactical defeat, it acted as the vital, irreplaceable spark for the Cuban Revolution. This bloody morning launched a permanent ideological movement that would completely rewrite global history and eventually topple the Batista regime. To understand why these young men and women willingly risked their lives against impossible odds, we must analyze the deep-seated grievances against the dictator Fulgencio Batista. Just a year prior, in 1952, Batista had staged a military coup, suspending the Cuban constitution and canceling democratic elections because he knew he was going to lose. Under his rule, Cuba became a playground for foreign corporate interests, wealthy American tourists, and organized crime syndicates, while the vast majority of regular citizens suffered under extreme poverty, systemic corruption, and brutal political repression. Fidel Castro realized that peaceful, democratic change had been completely blocked by the regime's bayonets. Following the disaster at Moncada, Castro was captured and put on trial. Instead of begging for mercy, he used the courtroom as a political platform, delivering a 4-hour defense speech that concluded with the famous phrase, "Condemn me, it does not matter. History will absolve me." This speech, which was smuggled out of prison and printed in thousands of pamphlets, outlined a radical, progressive ideology of reform. It demanded land redistribution for peasants, a guarantee of housing and education, profit sharing for workers, and absolute national sovereignty. Through this public defense, Castro's movement successfully evolved from a failed, localized military raid into a widespread, popular campaign for social justice and liberation. The immediate aftermath of the Moncada attack was defined by harsh imprisonment, exile, and public silence. But beneath the surface, the revolutionary movement was only growing stronger. Released from prison during a political amnesty in 1955, Castro and his core group of loyalists fled to Mexico to escape Batista's death squads. It was during this exile that they officially organized the 26th of July movement, named in sacred honor of the fallen at Moncada, and recruited a brilliant young Argentine doctor named Ernesto Che Guevara. In late 1956, 82 rebels packed themselves onto a small, leaking yacht called the Granma and sailed back to Cuba to launch a guerrilla war. Once again, they met disaster upon landing, being ambushed by Batista's troops. Only a handful of survivors escaped into the rugged Sierra Maestra Mountains. But this time, the initial defeat served as the ultimate rallying cry for the Cuban people. From their mountain stronghold, the 26th of July movement organized a sophisticated network of urban saboteurs, student strikers, and peasant fighters. Batista responded with overwhelming brutality, which only served to completely alienate his own populace and destroy the morale of his army. By late 1958, the rebel columns led by Che Guevara and Camilo Cienfuegos began sweeping across the island. On New Year's Day, 1959, Fulgencio Batista fled the country with his stolen millions, and the movement that began with a failed barracks raid marched triumphantly into Havana. The events that began in Santiago on July 26, 1953, fundamentally transformed the entire political trajectory of the Western Hemisphere during the Cold War. What started as a localized battle for domestic reform rapidly evolved into a socialist revolution that brought the superpower rivalry of the United States and the Soviet Union directly to the doorstep of the Americas. The triumph of the 26th of July movement shattered the long-standing geopolitical status quo. Cuba went from being an economic dependency of Washington to a defiant communist outpost just 90 miles from Florida. This dramatic shift led directly to era-defining moments of global tension, including the CIA-backed Bay of Pigs invasion and the terrifying 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, which brought the world to the very brink of nuclear war.
Nationally, the day left an impermanent mark on Cuban history. July 26th became the country's most sacred national holiday, celebrated for decades as a symbol of anti-imperialism, state-sponsored healthcare, and education. Internationally, it inspired a generation of leftist guerrilla movements across Latin America and Africa, proving that a dedicated insurgent force could successfully overthrow a heavily armed foreign-backed government.
The armed assault on the Moncada Barracks stands to this day as a powerful, permanent testament to the immense power of persistence and symbolic messaging within political and revolutionary movements. It reminds us that in the long, turbulent theater of history, a crushing military defeat can sometimes be twisted into a nation's ultimate psychological victory, provided the ideology behind it refuses to die. As we look back at the dramatic transformation of Latin America over the last century, how do you assess the role of these symbolic, celebrated defeats in shaping political history? Is it the raw military outcome of a battle that dictates the future, or is it the narrative and the ideals forged in the aftermath that truly alter human civilization? We want to hear your analytical insights and unique perspectives, so please share your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you found this comprehensive historical breakdown valuable, please hit that like button, share this video with a fellow history enthusiast, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another deep dive into the epic, world-shaping moments of our shared past. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.